in which the kingdom is being built. And Yahweh wants you to feed that channel. What channel are you on? Canal 23. Sábado Gigante. You know, that dude's Jewish. What's his name? Francisco. That dude's Jewish.
He's Jewish?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. You see his nose? No, seriously, he's Jewish. His real name is Mauricio Gugelman or something. Don Francisco. But the dude's Jewish. Only with the Yahweh he should be a Jewish believer, right? So in this kingdom, and what a mean Yahweh. What a mean Yahweh. In this kingdom, he chooses the channel. Meaning, if Yahweh has put you in an assembly, that's where you serve him. That's where you sow. That's where you work. That's where you labor. You don't get to choose your own field of dreams. Build it and they won't come. And I don't care if you are, what's his name? Shula's Joe Jackson. Or was the producer? He did Dancing with Wolves. What was his name? Costner. Kevin Costner. It don't matter. You've got to build, in order to be a field of dreams, you've got to build according to his will, his way, and it will never lack his provision. If you are suffering lack, it's because you're not doing it either his way or you're missing his will. Very simple. Because Yahweh is not the problem. I have shocking news today. Yahweh is not the problem. So it's either his way is not being done or his will is not being done. Check the will of Yahweh and the way of Yahweh and you will get the provision of Yahweh. And let me tell you, one of the ways to get provision is to serve more and work less. It's the opposite of the world. 5 jobs, you'll never have provision. 4 jobs, you'll have some provision. 3 jobs, you'll get a cardiac arrest. The less work you do and the more service, and service is not a burden. Yeshua said in Matthew 11:29 through 30, he says, "Come to me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Learn of me, for my yoke is easy, and my calling, my ministry, my service, my burden is light." Can we talk?
Yes.
The emails, the arguing, the fighting, that gets to me. You know why? Because here's another shock in the congregation. When people are not getting along and they're not walking in friendship. That stuff bothers me. Okay? In other words, they don't teach you in cemetery what to do when a Muslim comes in with a bomb or he parks a Hertz van outside. What do I do? Is that Greek, Hebrew, or Christ, etymology 101? So when I'm teaching the word, it is his burden. His burden is easy, and his yoke is light. This is the light part. This is the easy part. The hard part is dealing with Achan. Because if you're Achan, we're Achan. It's a corporate identity that Yahweh sees. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So, his burden is easy, and his yoke is what? Light. So if his yoke and calling and burden is light, you should be involved with easy provision, easy money, easy finances, easy provision. I've never been richer than I'm now. You know how I did it? I don't do any more swindling. I don't do any more stealing. I don't sell keychains. I don't sell coffee mugs. I don't sell air conditioners. I don't, all those things I used to do to make money. Now I'm not selling anything. Work less, not more. Serve more. I guarantee you, you'll make more. I guarantee you, guaranteed, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. Serve more. Or else Yeshua was a liar. You don't believe Yeshua was a liar, do you? It is more blessed to give, meaning you'll receive more favor than it is to receive. You see, we only have 2 cooks for the conference. Rabbi, write me down. You know, we have people that need to be picked up from the hotels, and we have a van, but we don't have anybody to drive. Write me down. And when we do Yahweh's work, Yahweh's way, verse 7, we will have sufficient for all the works of the kingdom to be done, and matter of fact, there'll be too much. The people had more than enough, Britt, and more than enough. Communal worship and meetings with Yahweh are sustained by free will givings and terumah offerings. Tithes are for ongoing needs of the kehillah and the community. Whereas a free will or a terumah with a nadu, a willing heart, is for special needs or assessments. Isn't that interesting? Some of us live in a condominium or in a complex, and when they want to paint or repave the driveway or whatever the case may be, we all know there's a special assessment. And then we go to our husband and go, do you believe this? We're paying enough money, and now there's a special assessment, right? It's like, ay, 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 a special assessment. Well, guess what, brothers and sisters? In the kingdom of Yahweh, there are special assessments. Your tithe is to cover the expenses and the work of the kingdom, but then there are special assessments. Next week, we're going to be doing 4 special assessments. We got $3,000 of expenses for the conference. You think we're not going to be doing terumah next week? Free will, willing, giving, terumah. What Yahweh's talking about in the building of his Mishkan is not ma'aser. Here's the scary part. It's not ma'aser, it's terumah. Ouch. It says in Exodus 36:3 that Yahweh wants terumah every morning with a willing heart and a willing spirit every morning. But notice, not to the channel of your choice, but to the channel of Yahweh's choice. Does any of this make sense? In other words, until the day Yahweh takes you out of this congregation, this is where all your giving sounds like a cult. I don't care what it sounds like. How does that sound? That's Exodus 36. That's what it sounds like. When Yahweh takes you out of B'nai Yeshua synagogue, you are free to pick your own channel and to pick your own field for sowing. But not until then. Boy, you should see some of your faces. So that's the way we go from silver to brass. That's one of the ways we are perfected, is giving to Yahweh with a willing heart, with a willing spirit, limited to the things we offer him. They got to be pure, they got to be under his discipleship in areas of our life, and they have to be with the intent of making us shalem. Yahweh doesn't need our gold. Yahweh doesn't need our silver. We need the shalem, or the shalom, the wholeness and the completeness, to become brass, and so we must give freely with a willing heart on a daily basis. Does it get any simpler than that? And here's the shocking stuff. It's always in the same tabernacle. It's the same house. There weren't 10 tabernacles, Britt. There weren't 4. Yahweh said, this is my Mishkan, and here's where you sow. So ask yourself, do I do my work where I've been planted? We quote Psalm 1 all the time, don't we? Tehillim chapter 1, we quote that all the time. The righteous are not so. They are planted by the, well, what? By the trees and by the living water, right? Right? Isn't that Psalm 1? The righteous are planted. They are like trees whose leaf does not fade, planted by the waters, the living waters of Yeshua. Here's a shock. When you show up to serve willingly and freely and give your life as a free will offering to Yahweh, you don't get to choose the tabernacle. Yahweh shows you the tabernacle, and Yahweh points you to the tabernacle, and he asks you, are you willing to serve in my tabernacle? And if you're hearing dollar signs, you're hearing wrong. Service can be time. Service can be commitment. Service can be love. Service can be visitation. Service could be working with the children. Service can take a lot of different ways and meander in a lot of different paths. But it's all got to be done in the Mishkan. That's part of bringing our rebellious nature into line. We wish we had the freedom to volunteer our time where we wanted to volunteer our time. That's the attitude of someone who says, why should I join your evangelism or homeless ministry when I've been evangelizing by myself for years? Yahweh said, okay, but with that kind of an attitude, it's not a willing spirit and it's not a willing heart. It's done apart from Moshe being able to examine these offerings, if they are gold, silver, or brass, and were they given through Moshe, not this Moshe, but the divine ordained leadership, or did you just call up Catholic Charities and make a large donation? That's not Yahweh. What's wrong with Catholic Charities? They do a lot of good work. But that doesn't mean that's the Mishkan that Yahweh wants you to freely give of yourself. How do you enter the ministry? Let's recap. Open your eyes, look for the need, meet the need, and congratulations, you're in the ministry. You don't need a rabbi or a Popeye or an elder coming to you and twisting your arm, twisting your neck. Meet the needs of the people of Yahweh. We are a needy people. We haven't arrived. We're not there yet. We are a needy people. If we meet, people want to know, what do you do for the hospitals? And what do you do for the... Listen, great works of Yahweh do a few things well. We don't try to be all things to all people because we can't do all things well. We're a small congregation. We find our strengths and we overlook our weaknesses. Unlike the world, in the ministry, serving Yahweh, you don't work on your weaknesses, you emphasize your strengths. I know my weaknesses, you know your weaknesses. Yahweh made us with those weaknesses, so we offer our strengths to Yahweh and ask Him to make our weak parts of our life into silver, because we're under progress. Doesn't this make sense? We don't dwell on our weaknesses, we offer Yahweh our strengths. Any of this make sense? We don't dwell on our weaknesses. Of course, we all have weaknesses. Even Shoshana has one. Ted has two. I've got three. See, that's just the opposite of what the world tells you, right? Brother, you need help. And you need to work on all your weaknesses. No, I don't. The Ruach HaKodesh will work on my weaknesses, but I will use my strengths to build His tabernacle, and I will trust the leadership that Yahweh has given me enough to examine my offerings. Am I just taking up a seat, or is my heart really here today? Are my children really here today? Is my husband really here today? Is my Bible open and I'm hungering and thirsting after righteousness so that Yahshua can fill me? In other words, He tries the reins and the kidneys and tries men's hearts. Jeremiah 17, 18, and 9. Yahshua tries the reins and the kidneys and is a revealer of the thoughts and intents of the heart. For all things are open and naked to the one with whom we have to deal. How can you expect to prosper in your secular job when there's work in the kingdom and you're looking to other people to fill those needs? Can we talk? You're looking, or if you look at her later, at the best coffee maker the Jewish people have ever produced. Right there. Die Rebbe Rivka.
Oh, yeah.
Café como Alex Hente.
Excelente.
Say what?
Excelente.
No, Alex Hente.
Excelente.
Excelente. So then, every week, we would make coffee, and we buy cakes and cookies. This is about 20 years ago. And I said, well, listen, Rivka, people see you making coffee and they're not helping. She goes, that's right. I said, stop making coffee. She said, well, if I stop making coffee, there's going to be no coffee. I said, that's right. But by doing that, somebody who's going to be entering the ministry. They're going to see that there ain't no coffee and that they are willing and they want coffee so bad that they're going to make the coffee. And then, not only will we have coffee, we will have ordained a new fish into the ministry. And I forbid her to stop making coffee, even though she makes an excellent pot. So when we do Yahweh's will, according to Yahweh's work, done Yahweh's way, never lacks Yahweh's provision, the people had more than enough. That's why 65, 70 people at Bnei Yeshua Synagogue can provide spiritual manna for the entire world. Why? Because we are faithful in little, and He will make us faithful in the greater things that we can't control. Does any of this make sense? We are faithful as much as lies within us. Communal worship, the oversight of the Kehillah, the Mishkan Ohel, the Ohel Moed, is done by Ma'aser, tithe. But the Terumah are special assessments. Was the building of Yahweh's residence among the tribes of Israel, was that part of the Ma'aser, or did that call for a special assessment? A special assessment. That was built by what? Nadu, willing hearts, that volunteer. That's the only way you can serve Yahweh, is as a volunteer. Not for a paycheck, not for a commission. If the rabbi offers you money, or somebody in the congregation offers you money to fix that car, you shouldn't take it. If you need the money, take it. But it won't be an offering of gold and silver. It'll be an offering for you. As much as we can to offer Yahweh and our brothers and sisters an offering to Yahweh of gold, silver, and brass, it ought to be done without commission, without paycheck, and without money. And Raul is a perfect example of that. If I paid him for all the hours he puts in, I wouldn't be able to afford this cup. This cup wouldn't be overflowing. This would be a beggar's cup. A lot of things that he doesn't get paid for. He never asks for it. Right, bro? Oh, man. So that is a terumah, a free will offering. Yahweh says, my offerings are always what? Free will. My offerings are always DBA, doing business as a volunteer. Meaning there are no hirelings, because the hirelings in the kingdom sees a doctrinal wolf or a doctrinal wolf person or some demon, some wolf coming, and they flee. But if you're here to serve others better than yourself, and I am here to serve others better than myself, then guess what? When the wolf comes, not if the wolf comes, when the wolf comes, we're not going to go anywhere. Right? Because the shepherd cares for the sheep. When you serve Yahweh as a volunteer, turn to your neighbor and say, as a volunteer. When you serve Yahweh as a volunteer, that shows you are doing it for pure motivation. You care for the sheep. Baruch Hashem now. That is terumah, out of a nadu, a willing heart and spirit, which are both intertwined. It is a terumah, the free will offering, that enables Israel to follow the pattern of approach that he outlined for worship. Notice, it wasn't the tithe. The tithe went, don't miss this, the tithe went, listen, to maintain the Ohel Moed, but it was the terumah that built it. So the ma'aser is to maintain, the terumah is to build the kingdom. We serve Yahweh DBA, we do business as volunteers. Raul Rodriguez, did I get the last name right? DBA, servant, slave, bond slave of Yeshua. Shoshana, DBA, slave of Yeshua. Here's the bad news. if you're going to be a slave of Yeshua, you're going to have to be submitted to some master. Because Yeshua doesn't run his kingdom as a shepherd without under-shepherds. Bummer. It'd be so much easier if we just didn't have shepherds. Because nobody likes being told what to do. I don't. When I'm told what to do, I get a resentful spirit. That's okay. The word of Yahweh says in Proverbs 3, 4, and 5, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it proceed the issues of life. Guard your heart. Because when you're being told something to do, that's a real test of your spirituality. It's easy to go, oh, right on, brother, right on, preach hard, preach harder, come on now, preach now. When we agree with everything's being done and being said. So watch this. Tithes are for the ongoing needs. I hope you're taking notes. Tithes, maaser, is for the ongoing maintenance of the Mishkan or the Ohel Moed. But it is the free will offerings from the free heart, a nadu willing heart and a nadu willing spirit that provides for the special needs or the special assessments. The Terumah enabled Israel to function as a community and to follow the pattern of approach that Yahweh desires for us in worship. If we follow the pattern by serving in the community, DBA volunteers, the government won't take care of our elderly, the government won't take care of our senior citizens, the government won't take care of our handicapped. We will be a self-sufficient, self-serving, where we serve the people of Yahweh